everyone, welcome back to Level Up with Dawn. Before we get into this video, please subscribe down below and like this video. Yes, it's before you've watched it, but I know you're gonna like this one. So today we're going to be talking about buying a pre-owned property versus buying a new build. So what is a new build? That is a property that previously has not had any owners. A developer has built it from the ground up and now they are in the process of selling it. It didn't exist before, it didn't have previous tenants before or previous owners before, and you are going to be considered the first owner of that property. A pre-owned property is a property that was built probably years ago, and you will not be the first owner. You are buying it from another person or company, depending on who owns it, and that ownership will be transferred from them to you. So in this video, I want to take you through the steps of buying a property and how in the steps the details may differ depending on if you're buying a new build or if you're buying a pre-owned property. So step number one, this one may seem simple, but in the process of actually writing the offer to purchase, with a new build, you may not have the room to negotiate the price. They tend to have a take it or leave it policy when it comes to the price of their properties, and you don't have room to say, oh, let me take it 1,000 rand lower or 100,000 rand lower. This is what the price is. With a lot of developers, with most if not all developers, this is the price, this is what the price is, and you can take it or leave it. But with a pre-owned property, you may have room to negotiate, especially if the seller has put the property on market and it's been there for a while, and maybe they can see maybe the price that they want for it is not realistic considering the environment that they're in. So there you do have room to negotiate. So once you've decided we want to offer to purchase the property, then the next step is acceptance and getting the loan. So this part is fairly standard for both sides. Banks are not partial to either type of property as long as it is inhabitable and all the building regulations have been met. So the next step after applying for the loan and being accepted is the bank has to value the property. So that again, very standard. They just look at the property, they see how much the market would want to pay for it, and based off of that, if it's similar in price to what you're willing to pay, then they are happy. They also check the soundness of the building through their valuers, and then if that is all sound, then you're good to go. Now here's where things start to differ. At the point where you have gotten the loan to buy your property, then on the side of the property developer, they need to do a snag list with you to make sure that the actual building or the actual apartment that you're buying is, you're happy with it. And that means they take you through the actual apartment that you're purchasing, and you look through it and see if there are any chips on the walls, is there any paint on the windows, is a tile loose, is a tile chipped, are the cupboard doors opening and closing correctly, are the taps working, is the toilet flushing, everything. You check absolutely everything. Every little crevice of the place you need to check, because it's at that stage when they note everything that's wrong and then they have to fix it, and this is at no charge to you. In the case of buying a pre-owned property, the issue of a snag list doesn't exist. So if you are looking through a property before you've placed an offer, now if you are looking through a property and you see issues with this property, it's not up to that current owner to fix those issues before you move in. If you feel there are significant issues that need to be fixed that would cost you a lot of money, then that needs to be reflected in the offer that you put forward to purchase that property. The seller is selling you the house the way that you see it. You can't put them at fault for finding issues with the property, except for if it's building regulations. You can't put them at fault for finding issues with the property after you've bought it, because everything should have been checked beforehand. But you do have an option to put in a condition to your offer to purchase that you will send in private quantity surveyors to look at the property and see if there are any issues. And if there are any significant issues that come up and you're not willing to deal with those, then the offer to purchase is considered null. You do have that option to put that in your offer to purchase. So it is kind of like a snags list, but at the end of the day, fixing those issues will still be the buyer's cost. It will not be up to the owner to fix those issues, but you do have a chance to bring in professionals to see what issues there are in the first place and to see if you're willing to deal with those issues going forward. And again, don't forget, if there are significant issues but you still do want to buy the property, then reflect the cost of those issues in your offer to purchase. Bring down the price however much you need to reflect the cost that you're going to have to incur when you buy this property. So now back to the new build. Once your snag list has been compiled, then the developer goes away and fixes those issues in the property. And this now is where things can get really expensive if you're not careful. And this is me speaking from experience. This is where I got into trouble. So after your snag list has been done and the developer takes it, they fix everything that needs to be fixed, you come back and you assess again to make sure that everything that you had an issue with has been fixed. Now, it's at this point where you need to be careful, because if you sign that you are happy with everything and all the issues that you had have been fixed, that means you are saying that this apartment is now considered occupiable according to you and according to the developer. And if this property is now considered occupiable, then you need to occupy it. But where are we on the transfer? Where are we on the bond registration? That was my mistake. I signed those papers and my apartment was occupiable, and it was, rightfully so. But I didn't know that the registration process was going to take so long. And so in that time, between the property being transferred into my name and the apartment actually being deemed occupiable, I had to pay occupational rent. So that was for 3 months. I had to pay occupational rent. And the industry standard of occupational rent is 1% of the property cost. So it would be like you have a bond that's charging you 12% per annum, which is a lot, especially now when the repo rate is so low. So if you're going to be buying any properties from a developer going forward, please make sure that industry standard is not in your offer to purchase, because that is a lot. That is a lot. That is almost going to be double your bond, considering what the repo rate is now. So anyone who's going to be buying property from a developer now, actually it doesn't matter, from anyone going forward, make sure the occupational rent that is listed on your offer to purchase is not 1%. It has to be at least 0.8, or not at least, at most. It has to be at most 0.8, 0.7 to reflect the repo rate that is decreased, because surely the occupational rent is supposed to cover the developer in terms of costs, right? Their costs are not as high as they used to be because they also benefit from the repo rate being lower. So you can't be paying out your teeth for nothing. So now the next step is transferring the property into your name. So like I said, with the new developer, you'll be the first owner of this property. So it's going to be registered in your name. With a pre-owned apartment, it's going to be transferred from the previous owner to you. But so now the delays that could happen are with the previous owner. In both instances, the rates and taxes related to that property need to be paid before the property can be transferred over into your name. So that is any rates and taxes that would probably sit, if you're buying in Johannesburg, they'd sit with the city of Johannesburg, whatever municipality that you're buying in, all those rates and taxes need to be paid off. Sewage, pick it up, water, electricity if it's not prepaid, and the taxes, which are dependent on the value of the property. Those all need to be paid by the previous owner. That is not your cost to bear. Don't ever let anyone make you think that you need to pay that price. Another issue that could cause a delay is if the seller has a bond on the property that they're trying to sell, because that bond needs to be cancelled first before it can be transferred over. You cannot have two bonds on one property. That does not make sense. So the bond of the previous owner needs to be cancelled first before your bond can be registered, and your bond being registered requires that property to be in your name. So you see there's a little web between the transfer of property and the registration of the bond between both parties, the seller and the buyer, if you're buying from pre-owned. With a developer, the loan that you get just pays off a portion of the loan that developer has, if they do have a loan. Once transfer has happened, then this is when occupation can happen. Hopefully you're not in the same situation that I was in, where occupation had to happen before transfer, but now at this stage, after the bond has been registered in your name, then occupation can happen for both sides, the pre-owned and the new development. From that point forward, it's up to you what you do with it. You can live in it, you can rent it out, whatever you want to do. How's your business? Well, maybe not, because there's different zonings. Just to recap, on the offer to purchase stage, normally it's only with pre-existing owners that you can negotiate. Also, if there are any issues that you find, reflect that in your offer to purchase so that you have enough cash out afterwards to fix what needs to be fixed, because the seller is not liable to fix those. They are selling their house as you see it. Also, with the snag list, once everything has been repaired, make sure that you approving those repairs doesn't require occupation. Put it in the offer to purchase that occupation happens on transfer. And lastly, the transfer of a pre-owned property may be delayed because of bonds that need to be cancelled or rates that need to be paid. But also at the same time, this is not exclusive to pre-owned apartments or buildings. I've been in the same situation where I was delayed for 3 months, but this was with a new build. So make sure you have a cushion just in case you need to be paying occupational rent during that time. I hope this video helped. If it did, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it on all of your platforms, and also don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye. I feel like I'm screaming because everyone is wilding out. Okay, wilding. That's so weird.